I am literally mom, cotton and candies, planet path dev, so forth and so on, whatever you want to call me. Most people just call me mom. As I've introduced myself before, I am the sole programmer slash developer slash coder, whatever you want to call it, for planetpath.net, or the Planet Path game. I am doing my weekend devlog. Today, I'm not really going to show you too much play because I don't really want to give too much of the story away. There's a lot of story in the game, and if I continue to play it for you, you're gonna start learning it, and I'd rather you do it by yourself if you want to. So, I will say a little bit of what new stuff we have that came out this last week, and some other things that I wanted to talk about in regards to not just development, but the gaming community as a whole. A little bit of my own personal feelings on things like that coming from a kind of indie dev perspective. First off, in regards to the game, we have about 150 new rooms just this week. We've got new abilities added. We've got some new skills opened up. You can now harvest various types of materials. There's much more to the crafting menu, more things you can create. Shipbuilding is starting up. So pretty soon here we'll have the ability to build our ships and go out into space and all that, and be a lot of fun. Got more jobs, quests, available that you can play and get more of the story, and yeah, a bunch of new stuff. I think we added 50 new items to the game. New starter gear, the ability to now create and use dye when you're creating items, so that you can actually have their own color and things like that. So quite a bit. We not only did we break 60 members, then we broke 70. And officially, as of today, we have over 80 accounts to the game, which is pretty awesome. I'm really hoping that we make it to 100, because that would be just mind-blowing awesome. Like, I'm so happy with how people are having fun with the game and just, taking part and experiencing it. So it means a lot to me. I honestly didn't think it would do well at first, because it's a text-based game and people are so jaded these days on, it's all about how good are the graphics. Whenever you see a new game come out, be it an indie game or like a AAA game, it's always like, well, what are the graphics like? How does how do these particle effects look when reduced ability in combat, and have they upgraded the models? That's what people look for, and graphics are great. I totally I cannot believe the skill that goes into creating some graphics out there. Just mind blowing. The models, again, particle effects, shaders, all of that. Huge amount of work. Kudos to those people. They're amazing. But if and unfortunately, it kind of feels like there's so much expectation on the appearance of a game that it kind of takes away from other quality aspects. Now, I will argue against my own statement in that things like pixelated games, things that are more retro, are becoming more popular, which is really cool to see, because it feels like people are starting to get more interested in, I guess, the other values of a game more equally, versus kind of putting precedence in the overall graphical structure of a game. I mean, those are important, but it's just nice to see a bit more of a balance. And that also brings more opportunities to indie devs who don't have a huge team of artists working for them, or who don't want to go to, if you're building a game in Unreal, which what most people do, either build it in Unreal or Unity. I've done it myself. I've built games in Unreal. When you do that, either you have to make every individual asset yourself, which means you basically need a huge amount of education understanding on how 3D modeling works, and how to do rigging, and how physics work, and just everything. On top of knowing how to program the game, on top of knowing how to do all those engines and things like that, you need to have that whole artistic side that's highly, highly educated. Or you need to dish out tons of money to buy assets that aren't even really yours. You know what I mean? And that just doesn't feel as good when you're making things from scratch per se. There's nothing wrong with doing it. Especially like, I've bought assets before. We're like, man, that's a really cool asset. I totally want to try that out in my game. Blah 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 blah. It's just for me, it's less satisfying. So when I finally just said, to heck with it, I'm gonna try doing like a text-based game. Um, I don't have to worry about educating myself for the next, 5, 10 years on all those graphical elements, or hiring people, or hiring artists, or buying assets to make my game even playable. A lot of people struggle with that. So if you are an indie dev and you want to, make a game of your own, and you're struggling with that artistic aspect, which is kind of what hinders a lot of indie devs and stops their game from production, give it a shot in making maybe a text-based game or a pixel game or something that doesn't require so much assets in that regard, because your game is just as valuable. It's the content of your game, the quality of your game is more than just the eye catchers. My game is completely text-based. I have sat and described the details of hundreds upon hundreds of different environments and rooms, just writing it out. So, don't be afraid to give it a shot. That's my little quip on that. Aside from that, there was something else that I kind of wanted to talk about in this. And that is in regards to kind of it's not just for other indie devs, but it's also for the gaming community as a whole. I have been a pretty active participant in the gaming community for quite some time now. My fiance he also, he does YouTube gaming videos, he does Let's Plays and streams and things like that, and plays with his friends and all that other stuff as well. And even before he started doing that, I have been pretty active in the community, because as an indie dev, or any kind of dev, but especially as an indie dev, that is your base. That's where you meet people. That's where you find people to test your game, to play your game, and it's also where you find people who simply appreciate gaming in general. Devs, especially indie devs, heavily rely on finding people who will take the time to try out their game, knowing there might be bugs, knowing there's going to be certain issues and things like that, because that's the whole point of testing a game. But finding people who appreciate gaming and appreciate game design enough that they're willing to try that out for you, to test that out for you, and give it a shot. It's a really big deal to have. On the other side, gamers, YouTube gamers, Twitch gamers, people who basically do streams and Let's Plays, whatever you want to call it, they also rely on devs. It's a full circle. You're not going to have those games to play without somebody who made that game for you. And sometimes those games are paid for, and sometimes those games are free. But either way, somebody spent the time to make that for you. And so without that dev, you don't have that content. And for the devs, without that gamer, you don't have a game. You have a game, but you don't. You don't have something that you are inspired to continue to spend your time in, because what's the point? That's the hard reality of it. But you need people to be there for you, to inspire you, to encourage you, because you're going to have those moments where you're going to look at this thing that you've spent hundreds upon hundreds of hours on and say, why am I doing this? Nobody's going to like this. You're going to have those moments where you get down on yourself. Everybody does, for all kinds of things in life. And you're going to need that pick-me-up of, either to yourself, like, hey, you know what, I'm going to go into this, Reddit community or Twitch community or Discord community, and I'm going to go into this community and be like, hey, somebody want to check out my game. I'm just kind of, I'm not really sure where I'm going with it, or there are some things that I'm not really sure about or comfortable with, and I just wanted to get like a second opinion. People will jump on that. They'll be like, hey, yeah, I'll check it out totally, because they get it. It's the same thing with when you're doing streams, when you're sitting on Twitch and you're on your 26th stream of your favorite game, and you've had 2 people ever come into your channel to watch it for all 5 minutes. And you're just sitting there like, why am I bothering? Nobody wants to see this. Nobody cares. You beat yourself up. You beat yourself up because you feel like nobody cares about the content you're creating. Well, it's the same thing for devs. you beat yourself up because it feels like nobody cares about the content you're creating. Um, it is such an intricate web, and I really truly don't think that people in either community often understand just how entwined they are. You cannot have one be successful without the other. If you want to get more people, be it to watch your stream or your YouTube video or to play your game, you need to make those connections. You need to network. You need to talk to people. You need to interact, and you need to be supportive too. If you're an indie dev and you're working on your game and you see somebody over here struggling who's like, I've been making this for 10 months and I can't get a single person to even check it out, take a minute and go check it out. Do it. Like, you're kind of a jerk if you don't, honestly, because you're just supporting another human being, and it doesn't take much of your time. It takes 10 minutes to go into something and check it out and be like, hey, this is cool, or hey, love it, maybe I would work on this part a little bit, give them a little constructive criticism. Use the sandwich method. Love the sandwich method. It's where you give, and this is for anything in life, give a bit of positive, give a critique that they need to work on, and then follow it up with another positive. That is like the perfect way to give critique, in my opinion. And you can do that, like I said, you can do that for developers, you can do that for people doing content creation for games, gamers, let's players, whatever. It works for kind of anything. But I really feel like we need more understanding in the community, the gaming community at large, in that these are two sides of the same coin. If you want to be this awesome, popular streamer that a lot of people are checking out, take your time to appreciate the people who have made those games so that you have that content. So that you have that content to expose and to build your platform off of. And in turn, if you're a developer, take your time to appreciate the people who are coming in to play your game, or who support indie games, or even if they just retweet your links. Because those people, they are your bread and butter. I just wish there was more joining between the two. I just wish there was more devs out there supporting gamers and gamers out there supporting devs. And I would just really, if I had to like close this with kind of like something important that I really wanted to press, because this is kind of a different video per se. It's a little bit of mom on her pedestal, I know. But support your developers, and developers support your gamers, and make that come on both sides, because you cannot have one without the other. These are two communities. I'm a part of both. I'm active in the dev community, and I'm very active in the gaming community. And there's almost no connection between these two as far as like socializing and building networks go. It just blows my mind. So take the time, if you're a gamer, go find some indie devs that are struggling and be like, hey dude, I'll play your game, I'll stream it for a little bit, I'll get you some exposure. Do that for them, because I guarantee you that's going to make their freaking day, if not their like year. And if you're a dev out there and you've got a game you're working on and you see a gamer who's struggling, be like, hey dude, play this, I have this game that's doing really well, it's almost released, I'm gonna give you like, a key, and you can be one of the first people to play it, and then you can stream it, and then my fan, our the fans for our game that are waiting on it, they'll go check out your stuff, and you'll get a bunch of views, and that's a really great way to build each other up. And that's what it's all about, is building each other up and creating that content together. You have the game, which is the platform, and the player, which is the controls, and that's what creates that whole content. That's what it is. So that's my little spiel for today. That's really all I have to share. We've got a lot of stuff coming out with Planet Path, but like I said, I didn't want to show you any play of it, just because it's getting a lot more into the story. There's so much going on, and I'm really happy with where it's going. I'm so happy and appreciative of the people who have been coming into the game, finding the bugs, or testing things out, or giving us feedback, and being honest about it, and I just wanted to thank those people so much. I wanted to thank the people who support us in other ways too, people who maybe it isn't their cup of tea kind of game, that's totally fine, who just, retweet something, or they just say, hey man, keep pushing, don't give up, things like that, because that's support too. So yeah, that's that's pretty much what I got. I'm finally getting a headset that works. I have one, but it doesn't really work. And to do my devlogs here and anything really, I have to basically borrow my fiance's equipment, which is kind of rough. So I'm actually getting my own headset soon. It's super cute. A really dear friend named Panda basically donated towards that. So really excited about that, and I'll show that off maybe next week if it's here. But yeah, so that's me. That's Mom. Planet Path Dev, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.